I thought I'd talk to you about an article that was published on WPTV. Pro pool builders, customers of Stewart-based pool company file complaints after they say company went caught it isn't finishing jobs. Published in April of 2022. Um, around that, around this time, actually, a little earlier than this, my business partner was bidding a pool with a customer, and the customer told him he got this really cheap bid, and so my partner just asked to see it, and he reviewed it, and he basically told the guy, he says, I don't care whether you go with me, but just don't go with this guy, because this pool can't be built with this price. In the industry, we all have very similar costs, so we should all be in a fairly close range when a pool is bid. Unless we're using different materials than this one. But anyway, the pool he was proposing just couldn't be built at that cost. Well, the customer ended up going, or the potential client ended up going with this guy, and he ended up being one of the people that was defrauded in this article. He didn't even get a hole dug. So he given the guy a deposit, and I don't remember if he had given him anything else, but he was out a significant amount of money because of the way the guy structured his contracts. If I remember, I was $25,000 or $30,000. So, basically, that money just went away. And so this particular article addresses this particular builder, and what he was doing was kind of, first off, running a bit of a Ponzi scheme, right? So as he got deposits on his first sets of pools, he started building those, and he actually did a pretty good job on the first 2 or 3 or so. I think he only finished 3 pools. And he was taking money from later jobs to make sure he got all that done, because he was selling these jobs so cheap. There's no way he could have actually finished any of those pools for what he charged. But then once he got going, he just started basically where he was getting deposits from people, maybe digging the hole, at most putting gun out. But the way he had structured his contracts was that he got loads of money up front. He was taking 20% deposits, where all the other pool companies around there were taking 10% deposits. And the day he dug the hole, he was taking another 30%. So by then he had 50% of your money, and all he'd done is dug a hole. And then if he actually got the gun out in, I think it was another 20%. So between that time, he got somewhere between 50 to 70% of the people's money, and he hadn't done but 15% of the work. And he just kept doing this and kept doing this and kept doing this, and he ultimately ended up defrauding, I think, 104 people for $2.5 million. And I'm sure there's other people out there. So I guess the judge to the story is, if it's too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. But the things to watch for is when one bid is way different from everything else, there's a reason. And if it's significantly cheaper and there's no reason for it to be cheaper, that's definitely a red flag. We ended up building the pool for that particular customer. And we ended up finishing, I believe, 3 other pools that he had started. The one customer that I'm talking about is the only one that actually hadn't been dug. But we took over 3 pool builds that the hole had been dug in the ground, and they were in various states of the steel and forms being put in. Many of these customers, we had to reduce the size of the pool or do something to reduce the cost so that they could ultimately end up affording it, because so many of them had lost so much money to this guy that they simply couldn't afford to build what they wanted to build. And of course, they had been given unrealistic expectations of what's going to cost from him anyway. And I don't know how many people didn't end up, couldn't finish the job because they didn't have enough money to do it. The pool itself was a stretch, and they're sitting on with a hole in their backyard. So, just something to be aware of. That's one of the reasons that I'm gotten into this business is that I want to help people, and I want to look and say there's just no way they can do that for that price. But again, the axiom of the story is it's too good to be true. It's too good to be true.